Now you have two sets of folks, the cheerleaders are gone. Nobody's a cheerleader. You have rational accommodationists and you have hawks. Rational accommodationist has got a new name. It's Thucydides' trap. It's your buddy Graham Allison and Henry Kissinger. And here's the great concept they got, okay? Their great concept is America's a declining power, China's a rising power, like Athens was a declining power, and Sparta was a rising power. Yeah. And what you have to figure out to avoid a global conflict, which is like 16 times in world history this has happened, and 12 times they just weren't wise enough to take it. What has to happen is the declining power can figure out how to nudge the rising power to kind of get into their system. Now, you'll always be the junior partner, but you'll make the big guy kind of work with you and everything will be happy. This is the exact same nonsense from the exact same people, from Allison Graham and from Henry Kissinger, that they spun on Nixon in the late 60s about Russia. Let's go back in time. Yeah. The same exact pitch. Russia's a rising power. America's a declining power. And what we have to do, we need détente. We need rapprochement. We need to let them have their sphere of influence. It was bullshit then, and it's bullshit now. Ronald Reagan came in and said, hey, you know what? How big is their economy? And they said, Russia's economy is the size of California. Yeah. He says, why do people fear him? The very first thing that Andy Marshall at the Net Assessment Group in the Pentagon and Bill Casey, the CIA, did was do a complete analysis of the Russian economy, and they found out it was only half as big. Oops, I have a miss. 50% bigger. And
they were desperately short dollars.
Desperately short of dollars. Desperate. This is the whole thing that always happens.
Exactly where China is.
It's because they did the exact same thing with China. They put it into military spending that was not productive. So here we go with the exact same set of guys. And what they tell us 40, 50 years later, hey, America's a declining power. China's a rising power. And I look at it, it's the exact same thing. They have an economy with no dollars. Here's the point I make to them. How about this? How about we stop being a declining power? That is not a law of physics. A process that manages us to decline, okay, is not a process I accept. I am looking for a leader to step up and make America great again, okay? And that's Trump's basic pitch. And guess what? In 2 years, he proved the Chinese are a paper tiger.
When you think about, again, their grand strategy, our pushback, and where we are in the globe today, what do you think China's next step is? If you were predicting what their next step would be, given our assertiveness that we've stepped forward on the economic, call it, side of the coin and pushed in some tariffs and are starting to reassert ourselves. You see, what do you think they're going to do?
Number one, they want regime.
What's textbook?
They want regime change in the United States. They believe they have a 80% chance of getting Trump, winning the House, doing whatever they need to do with psychological warfare, with money, with whatever they have to do to basically thwart Trump and lose the House of Representatives, see him impeached this year, and 100% probability they'll beat him in 2020. Number one is the removal of Donald J. Trump as President of the United States. Okay. Because they say that is the railhead of everything that's happened to us badly. And we've got to get, a globalist in there.
Their game's just to wait him out.
Not just wait him out. I think take active measures. Now, yesterday, Pence said yesterday, and Axios and other people reported there's classified information that shows the Chinese involvement and real meddling. This is not some Russia guys on Facebook. This is the real deal, because this is all the chips in the middle of the table. That's number one. Number two, I think what you're seeing, the Italians said today that hey, China's going to be our big buddy. I think you're going to see a double and triple down on One Belt, One Road. I think you'll see a double and triple down on Made in China 2025. I think you'll see the East India project in Sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean, in Venezuela, in Latin America. I think they're going to double and triple down. They got a lot of R&B to spend, right? And if a guy can take R&B,
but no one's going to take R&B.
Well, this is going to be the great question we're going to have in front of us. Because they're in the Gulf right now. They're all over the UAE. They're all over Saudi Arabia. They're all over Qatar. They're all over every resource area in the world, from Argentina to Sub-Saharan Africa to South Africa. And they're going to try to see it geopolitically. The number three, because remember, in the great textbook that they put out and basically printed in English in the late 90s, written by these two brilliant colonels in the Chinese War College, called Unconventional Warfare. Unconventional Warfare.
Admiral Liu?
It's a book that should be read by everybody. Is that because it laid out China's strategy. They said there's three types of warfare. There's information warfare, there's economic warfare, and there's kinetic or kind of guns up warfare. And what we want to do is avoid kinetic. Because the one thing America can do is kick your ass, right? So we want to avoid that, okay? And so let's focus on information and economic warfare. And they've run the tables. I mean, it's textbook. You go back and read that. They've done exactly what they said they're going to do. I think and I believe that given the fact that Trump is now converging all forces of government power onto the economic warfare, and they are taken back, and the regime is under huge pressure, because I believe the Deng Xiaoping faction and others, even at the highest level, who believe in collective leadership, have said, hey, what we have here is a cult of personality.
You mean the ones that haven't been jailed or killed yet?
The ones that haven't been jailed or killed yet have sat there and go, Deng believed in working with the West.
Yeah.
Deng believed in reform. Deng believed in opening up. But Deng believed in being a good partner. And particularly keep your lights down. Don't get up in somebody's grill. That what they see with Xi is a return to the cult of personality of Mao.
Yes.
And he's under tremendous pressure internally. I believe, I said on my radio show, and everybody quotes me on this, back in, I think it was 2014 or 2015, that in 5 years we'll be in a shooting war in the South China Sea. As a 22-year-old naval officer, I was on patrol in the South China Sea on an American destroyer, okay? And I said, where in the hell am I, right? You know, what is this place? Because every tanker in the world coming through the Straits of Malacca, from the Persian Gulf, you got every huge tanker, you got every boxcar. It's a super highway.
40% of China's energy needs come through the Strait of Malacca.
I think it's 1/3 of the world's trade, $5 trillion.
It is.
My point, this is a super high, when people say the South China Sea, here's what you got to understand. It's a super highway of commerce. The biggest ships in the world, 24/7, 365 days a year. What China did, and they came to the Rose Garden in 2015 and looked the American people and the American president and lied to them. They built essentially 7 or 8 stationary aircraft carriers. They call them reefs, or these are stationary aircraft carriers. Mischief Reef, Scarborough Reef, all these. These